At exactly 12:30 a.m., the sirens did not stop. They came in waves, not one alert, not two, 8 separate missile barrages in a single night. And some of them were not meant to be intercepted. They were meant to scatter. So how do missiles still hit when one of the most advanced air defense systems in the world is watching the sky? This is not just another exchange. This is something different. And the details change everything. Since midnight, multiple salvos were launched from Iran toward Israel. Not one direction, multiple angles. Some aimed at central regions, some toward the north, some reaching as far as Jerusalem. Each wave forced civilians back into shelters, again and again and again. But that is not the real problem, because this time something new was used. Cluster munitions. These are not ordinary warheads. They do not explode once. They open mid-air and release dozens of smaller explosives. Each one spreads over a wide area. That means even if one missile is intercepted, fragments can still fall and cause damage. This is where things change. Israeli defense systems are designed to stop incoming threats. Systems like layered interceptors track, calculate, and destroy missiles mid-air, and they are very effective, but they are not designed for everything at once. A single missile is one problem. 10 missiles is another. 8 separate waves from multiple directions? That becomes something else entirely. And this is the part most people miss. It is not just about breaking through defenses. It is about overwhelming them. Each interception uses time. Each decision uses seconds. And each interceptor missile is limited. So when multiple barrages arrive, at slightly different times, from different paths, the system is forced to prioritize what to stop first, what to risk, what might slip through, and some did. Reports confirm impacts in central areas. 1 foreign worker was killed. In the West Bank, 3 Palestinians also lost their lives. These were not frontline zones. These were civilian areas. But that is not the full picture. At the same time, these missiles were flying. Another front opened. Hezbollah launched drones and additional projectiles from the north. Not in isolation, but coordinated in timing. This creates a multi-front pressure, south to north, east to west, all at once. And suddenly, the defense system is not just tracking missiles. It is tracking drones, different speeds, different altitudes, different signatures. This is where things become harder to manage. Drones fly lower, slower, sometimes below radar coverage until late detection. Missiles come fast, high, with limited reaction time. Combine both, and you force a split response. And this is exactly what happened. Sirens sounded across central Israel, Jerusalem, northern regions. People moved to shelters multiple times in one night. Sleep was broken, tension kept rising. But here's the deeper issue. Even when interceptions succeed, the psychological impact does not stop. Because people hear the explosion. They do not always know if it was an interception or a hit, and that uncertainty is part of the strategy, but that is not the most serious part. Because behind these barrages, there is a pattern forming. Iran is not firing randomly. These are structured waves, timed, layered, and repeated. 8 barrages since midnight is not a message. It is a method. And that method is testing something. Testing response time, testing interceptor limits, testing coordination across multiple regions, and each wave gives data. Data on what gets through, what gets stopped, how fast systems react. And once that data is collected, it changes future attacks. This is where the situation becomes more serious than it looks, because even if most missiles are intercepted, the goal may not be immediate damage. It may be learning, adapting, refining. And this is the part that raises a bigger question. If this was only a test, then what would a full-scale version look like? By 3:15 a.m., the pattern was clear. This was not chaos. This was coordination. Missiles from one direction, drones from another, and just enough delay between each wave to keep defenses active. But never relaxed. So why launch 8 separate barrages instead of one massive strike? Because a single large attack can be tracked, prepared for, and engaged all at once. But repeated waves? They force constant readiness, no reset, no recovery. And this is where things become dangerous. Each interceptor system has limits, not just in missiles, but in radar tracking, target prioritization, and operator decision-making. You can reload launchers, but you cannot reset human reaction speed instantly. And this is the part most people miss. Fatigue becomes a factor. Operators must stay alert for hours. Every alert could be real. Every decision matters. Now multiply that across the entire country, central regions, northern borders, Jerusalem, each area responding at the same time. And suddenly, the system is not just under attack, it is under pressure. But that is only one layer of the strategy. The second layer is cost. Interceptor missiles are expensive. Some estimates suggest tens of thousands of dollars per interception, sometimes more depending on the system used. Incoming threats? Often much cheaper. Drones can be built at a fraction of the cost. Some rockets are even simpler. So each time a defense system fires, it spends more than the attacker. And over time, that imbalance matters. This is where things change, because the goal may not be to break through immediately. It may be to drain resources, force repeated launches, force constant readiness, force logistical strain, and eventually create a gap. A moment when the system is stretched thin, that is when something larger can slip through. And this is exactly why cluster munitions were used. They complicate interception. Even a successful hit may not stop everything. Fragments fall, spread out, hit wider areas, so the attacker increases probability without needing perfect accuracy. But there is another layer, and it is even more concerning. Coordination with Hezbollah. While missiles came from long range, drones and projectiles came from the north. This creates a synchronized threat. Different launch points, different timings, different systems required to respond. And this stretches defense coverage, because now it is not one front. It is multiple fronts active at once. And this is the part that changes the bigger picture. Even after facing heavy losses in previous confrontations, Iran still demonstrates long-range strike capability. Not just capability, consistency. 8 barrages in one night shows something important. Supply lines still exist. Launch systems are still operational. Command and control still functions. And most importantly, the ability to coordinate across regions is intact. That sends a signal, not just to Israel, but to the entire region. Because if repeated saturation attacks can continue, then defense systems will always be under stress. Not broken, but pressured. And over time, pressure creates risk. Now consider this. If a few missiles can slip through during a limited barrage, what happens during a larger one? If drones and missiles arrive together now, what happens if more actors join? This is where the situation becomes more serious than it first appears. Because this is no longer about a single strike. It is about a model of warfare. Saturation, coordination, persistence. A system designed not to win in one moment, but to wear down over time. And that leads to one final realization. If this pattern continues, then the question is not whether defenses can stop most threats. They can. The real question is, for how long? Because modern air defense is not just about technology, it is about endurance, and endurance can be tested. If you found this breakdown useful, consider subscribing.